Well, happy Mother's Day to you and welcome to a new episode of Food and the Single Guy with me, your very own Amaru. Now, this episode of Food and the Single Guy is inspired by Korean cuisine. Oh yes, we're going all the way to Korea. Now, at the beginning of season 12 of Food and the Single Guy, I told you that in my attempt to learn about other cultures, I am going to explore and experiment other cuisines. And this episode of Food and the Single Guy is one of such videos. Now, I also would like to attract different people to the channel, people who would normally not subscribe to my channel, and that is why I'm doing these videos every now and again, all right? Now, I am going to be making gimmari. Now, gimmari are seaweed and rice paper rolls that you stuff, that you fill with glass noodles and vegetables, and they're quite delicious. I had them, and even though I don't have a frame of reference because I've never had Korean food before, I think I did get an impression of what they must taste like in Korea. Now, let me just say this. My version of gimmari, I'm sure that these are not traditional, okay? When I make these dishes from other countries, I approach the dishes with respect and a lot of love because I hate it when people butcher recipes from my own country, and I am not here to butcher recipes from other cultures or other countries. That is not what I do. So if you're Korean, I need you to know that I attempted to make one of your dishes and I approached it with a lot of respect and a lot of love, and I hope that I have done your culture justice, okay? Now, like I said, I will link those two videos that have inspired me to make my version of gimmari in the description box below. Go ahead, check them out. And in addition to that, I'm also gonna list all the ingredients that I've used for my version of gimmari. So without further ado, let us continue. Okay, you guys, now before we continue, I just have to reiterate that these are not traditional gimmari. I was simply inspired by a couple of YouTube videos that I saw, and I decided to try to make these myself. All right? Now, these are some of the ingredients that we will need. We will need some rice paper. We will need some seaweed. These are the glass noodles. You can also use the thicker ones if you so desire. We're going to use a large onion, finely sliced, 2 small cloves of garlic. I'm going to use some chili oil. Some people use sesame oil. You can also use some olive oil. That's what I saw on these videos. I'm going to use some sesame seeds, some chili flakes. I'm also going to use 2 of these hot chili peppers, 2 stalks of green onion, and 1 large carrot that I've julienned. Okay, you guys, so next I'm gonna prepare the suwon noodles, or the glass noodles. This is what they look like. And I'm gonna use 2 bundles of these. And what you're gonna do, you're gonna pour some hot water onto the noodles so that they become pliable, soft enough so you can use them for the filling. If you're using the thicker kind of noodles, you're gonna have to boil them, bring them to a boil so that they're soft enough and pliable enough so you can use them for your filling. All right? All right, so here we go. Just like so. So we're gonna allow the noodles to soak for about 5 minutes, and then we're gonna drain them. Okay, you guys, so next I'm gonna make a spicy dipping sauce for my gimmari, and as I understand it, traditional gimmari doesn't require a dipping sauce, but I saw the lady in one of the videos and she did make a spicy dipping sauce, so I'm gonna make a spicy dipping sauce too because it appealed to me. So in my mortar, I have 2 chilies, I have a clove of garlic, I have some salt and some brown sugar, which I'm going to grind into a fine paste. Okay, you guys, so my chili paste is ready. I am now going to scoop it into this little bowl, just like so. There we go. So to that, I'm gonna add 1 tablespoon of vinegar and about 4 tablespoons of soy sauce. And of course, we're going to give that a bit of a stir, just like so. And we're going to taste this. Let me see. Oh yes, it has a nice, delicate, sweet and sour, yet spicy taste. I think this is going to do just fine. Maybe just a little bit more sugar. Nah, this is good. So let us continue with the rest of the dish. Okay, you guys, let us prepare the vegetables. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to use some chili oil, but you can also use some sesame oil if you so desire. I have seen videos in which people use sesame oil. I have seen videos in which people use chili oil or even olive oil. All right, so I'm going to use my chili oil because I love a little zing, and just a droplet or two. This will do just fine, because you want to have as little moisture as possible in your filling. So I'm going to add the carrots first. Next, I'm going to add the onion. And the vegetables don't take a lot of time to cook, you guys. You simply want to glaze the onions. They don't need to take on color or anything like that. You simply want them to be pliable, yet still somewhat crispy, if you will. So next I'm going to add my garlic. Oh yes. And you're going to continue to stir fry the vegetables on medium heat. I am now going to season the vegetables with some MSG-free chicken powder. Here we go. And of course, we're going to give it a nice stir. And these are done. We are ready to move on to the next step. Okay, you guys, so next we're going to continue to prepare the filling, and I have drained my noodles completely. And as I mentioned earlier, you want as little moisture as possible for your filling. We're going to pour the noodles into this bowl. And as you can see, the noodles are still very long. We're going to need our kitchen shears to cut them into smaller pieces, which is going to come in very handy when we make the rolls. So here we go. Now don't overcut because we're not making rice pudding. This will do just fine. See? That's what I'm talking about. Okay, you guys, let us continue because we're now going to add some chili flakes to the noodles. Just like so. We're also going to add some soy sauce. This will do. We're going to add some sesame seeds. There we go. We're going to add the scallions. And last but not least, we're going to add the rest of the vegetables. There we go. And of course, you guessed it, we're going to give this a good stir. So there we have it. Our filling is ready. Doesn't that look beautiful, you guys? Oh, but it does. Now, if your filling doesn't have enough flavor, you can always add a pinch of salt or something along those lines. You can also add some black pepper if you so desire. I have added the chili flakes, so I'm not going to add black pepper. Now we can move on to making the rolls. So let us move on to the seaweed. This is what the sheets look like. And these are very brittle, okay? You don't want to manhandle them. We are simply going to pull them apart one by one, and I'm going to cut them in half. Now, as far as the rice paper sheets are concerned, this is what they look like. They are very thin, and you're going to dip them in a little bit of water, upon which you're going to put them on your chopping board, and then you're going to layer them with a sheet of the seaweed. a little bit of the stuffing, and then you're gonna make the rolls, okay? Now, you don't need to use hot water or lukewarm water. Cold water will do just fine. Okay, you guys, so here we go. I have one sheet of the rice paper right here. Over here, I have a plate with some tap water, which I am going to coat the rice paper with. Just like so. You're gonna put this on your chopping board. You're gonna get you a sheet of the seaweed. And some of the filling, see? And then you are simply going to roll it very tightly, just like so. Make sure to get the ends, fold them inward, and the rice paper becomes very sticky, keep that in mind. And then you simply create these little pockets. And there we have it. Doesn't it look cute and beautiful? Honey, you have no idea how proud I am right now. I am learning new things with you right here on Food and the Single Guy. Now let me go ahead and finish doing the rest, and then we will continue to deep frying these bad boys. Okay, you guys, so this is what my Gimmari rolls look like. Don't they look gorgeous? Oh, but they do. So far, I have made 12 of them. I'm gonna finish making the rest of the batch in a minute. But let me just say this. The rolls are very sticky. The rice paper is very, very sticky. So whatever you do, do not stack the rolls on top of each other, because even though that hasn't happened to me, I can only imagine that if you do stack them on top of each other, they will rip. Okay, so don't do that. Also, what I've done, I've added some water, just a slight layer of water to the plate. So, you know, when you remove them from the plate, they're not that sticky. All right. So that's a tip that I'd like to give you. In addition to that, I want to say that I hope that I've done the Korean culture justice so far. I am not here to butcher anybody's culture. That is not what I do. I'm only here to learn. So if you're Korean, or if you have Korean family and you know how this is made properly, I'm sure you will let me know in the comments. But please know that I make these dishes of other cultures with a lot of love and a lot of respect. All right. Now, lastly, what I've also seen is that when people use the seaweed, just the seaweed, they make a dry or a wet batter in which they coat the Gimmari with, and then they deep fry it. I think that when you use the rice paper sheets, you don't need the batter per se, because the rice paper adds as a barrier, a coat of protection to the seaweed. Okay, so it doesn't pop open when you deep fry them. That's what I think. But again, if I'm wrong, I stand corrected, and I'm sure if you're Korean, you will let me know. So, having said all of that, let us go ahead and deep fry these bad boys. So you want to deep fry these for about a minute to a minute and a half on both sides until they're nice and crispy. And of course, I'm going to share the final presentation with you in just a second. Now, how is that for a final presentation? And as you can see, I couldn't settle for just one picture, so I'm sharing with you a ton of pictures this time because I couldn't stop taking pictures. It is such a colorful display, and I couldn't help myself. And I think I have done the Korean culture justice. Again, if you're Korean, let me know how I did, okay? Now let me just say this to you. Like I said earlier, I don't have a frame of reference, so I don't know how they should taste, but I do feel like they taste a little bit like sushi because of the seaweed, and they're quite delicious and quite crispy. However, you have to eat them immediately after you've deep fried them, because if you let them sit for about a couple of hours or even the next day, they will no longer be crispy. Learned that the hard way. But other than that, I think they were delicious. And again, I think I've done the Korean cuisine justice. Now, if you decide to try to make my version of Gimmari or any kind of version of Gimmari, let me know how it turned out, because I'm always interested in hearing from you. In the meantime, I want to thank you for watching. Thank you so much for all the support that you've shown me on this channel and beyond. Happy cooking, happy eating. Don't forget to pick up your copy of my cookbook, AMARU Cooks, A Touch of Suriname Through Food and Anecdotes. Link available on my website. All right, and the book is available worldwide on a truckload of websites. Okay, so do me a favor and pick up your copy today. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. Have a happy Mother's Day yet again, and until we see each other again, ciao ciao.